Hello friends, welcome back to continue our session on photosynthesis. Okay, in the earlier session we discussed the process of photosynthesis, then the actual mechanism of photosynthesis, the two main phases of photosynthesis, that is the light reaction, the light independent reaction. I hope you have understood all those aspects. Now continuing further with the topic, now today we will discuss the adaptations in photosynthesis or the adaptations in plants for the process of photosynthesis. Now all these plants, they are provided with additional features which will facilitate the process of photosynthesis, like the arrangement of the leaves. The leaves are arranged at right angles to the stem or the base of the stem, so that maximum light is falling on the leaves, so that it increases the surface area and also the rate of photosynthesis. Then the cuticle and the upper epidermis are transparent, so through the transparent cuticle the light rays will enter into the palisade parenchyma, where maximum chloroplasts are present for the process of photosynthesis. Then numerous stomata. Now I hope you remember what is the function of stomata. We have discussed in transpiration also. Yes, very good. Stomata are the site for, they are providing the entry for the exchange of gases or the diffusion of gases. Oxygen and carbon dioxide will take place through the stomata. Then the palisade mesophyll. Now we had discussed this in the transpiration chapter, in the pathway or the path taken by the water in the leaf. In that diagram we had discussed all this palisade mesophyll, spongy mesophyll, right? So the palisade are just below the upper epidermis and they are having more number of chloroplasts as compared to the spongy mesophyll. So the idea is that the sun's rays will directly fall on the palisade mesophyll, so the photosynthesis will be carried out on a larger extent in the palisade mesophyll. And extensive vein systems. Now veins are containing what? They contain the vascular bundles, that is the xylem and the phloem. And what is the function of the xylem and the phloem? You must have learnt in lower classes in tissues chapter. Yes, very good. Xylem is conducting water which is carried from the roots to all parts of the plant, and phloem is carrying the food material. So the transport of the prepared food material which is prepared in the leaves, that is in the chloroplast, to all the different parts of the plant, that process is called as translocation. Okay, so all these are the characteristics or the adaptations which will facilitate the process of photosynthesis. Okay, now we will have a look at these. See, now this is asked in form of a question, that's why I have put here in form of question. Explain any 4 adaptations in the plants for photosynthesis. This question is asked almost every alternate year in the boards. So first is leaf arrangement. Leaves are arranged at right angles to the stem or the branch, which helps the leaves to trap more light and expose the flat surface of the leaf. Then second is cuticle and upper epidermis are transparent and waterproof. So being transparent, it allows the light to reach the palisade layer, and cuticle prevents the excessive loss of water because it is waxy in nature. Then third is numerous stomata. Now they allow rapid exchange of gases, that is oxygen and carbon dioxide. And fourth is palisade parenchyma. Now this is located on the upper surface and it has maximum chloroplast, which traps the light falling on it, thus increasing the active area of photosynthesis. And fifth is extensive vein system. This helps the rapid transport to and from the mesophyll cells. Okay, so you have to know at least minimum 4 adaptations. Now we shall have a look at the next part. Now let us have a look at the factors affecting photosynthesis. Now these factors are classified into the external factors and internal factors. External factors like the intensity of sunlight, the carbon dioxide concentration, the temperature and the availability of water. These will be the external factors. And internal factors, it will be the chlorophyll, then the protoplasm of the cell and the overall characteristics of the leaf or the properties of the leaf, that is the thickness of the cuticle, upper epidermis and so on. Okay, now first we will have a look at the external factors. Now increase in the intensity, if the light intensity increases, the rate of photosynthesis also will increase, but there is a limit up to which the rate will increase, because if the light is too much or too strong, then it has a tendency to destroy the chlorophyll. Yes, so the light has to be optimum. Then carbon dioxide concentration, if the carbon dioxide concentration increases, the rate of photosynthesis also increases, but again there is a limit, that is it should be in the range of 0.02 to 0.05%. If the CO2 concentration increases beyond 0.05 in the atmosphere due to pollution etc., then it tends to clog the stomatal pores. We have seen this in transpiration. So if there is excessive pollution, then rate of photosynthesis will decrease. Okay. Now temperature also plays an important role in photosynthesis, because at higher temperatures the enzymes which are required for the process of photosynthesis, they get denatured. Denatured means they get destroyed. Yes, so the optimum temperature for photosynthesis to occur is 35 degrees Celsius. Yes, and above 35 generally the rate will slow down, and above 40 the process will stop completely. Now for every 10 degree rise in temperature, the rate of photosynthesis doubles only up till the optimum temperature, meaning if you increase the temperature from say 5 degrees Celsius to 15 degrees Celsius, the rate of photosynthesis will double. Now from 15, if you increase it again by 10 degrees to 25, then also it will double. Yes, till 35 this is true, but beyond that if you try to increase the temperature, the rate will not double. Okay, so the temperature aspect is very important. Questions based on give reason like photosynthesis stops above 40 degrees. Yes, they are generally asked. So you have to write that enzymes which are required for the process of photosynthesis, they get destroyed, and therefore the optimum temperature is 35 degrees Celsius. And then water content. Yes, now the water which is present in the soil, that will be absorbed by the process of osmosis and will be transferred via the xylem of the root. It will be carried upward to the xylem of the stem, and ultimately it will reach the xylem of the leaf, and there the photosynthesis will actually take place. So if there is scarcity of water, then rate of photosynthesis will be decreased. Okay, so all these are the external factors. Now just let us have a look at them. External factors: light intensity. Rate of photosynthesis increases with the light intensity up to a certain limit. Too much light can destroy chlorophyll. Okay. Next is carbon dioxide concentration. Now if the concentration of carbon dioxide increases, the rate of photosynthesis also increases, but this is the optimum range, 0.03 to 0.05%. Okay. Next is temperature. Now give 5 stars to this is important. Rate of photosynthesis rises with the rise in temperature till the optimum temperature of 35 degrees Celsius is the maximum suitable temperature when photosynthesis occurs best. It stops above 40 degrees because enzymes are destroyed, and a rise of 10 degrees up to the optimum temperature, that is 35, will double the rate of photosynthesis. Okay, clear? And next external factor is water content. So scarcity of water due to reduced absorption from the soil or due to excessive loss through transpiration will reduce the rate of photosynthesis. Okay, will reduce the rate of photosynthesis. Okay, clear? Now we'll have a look at the next aspect, that is the internal factors. Now let us have a look at the internal factors, that is chlorophyll, protoplasm and the structure of the leaf. Okay. Now any nutritional deficiencies of minerals will cause a loss of chlorophyll. That is the chlorophyll will not be able to trap the solar energy, meaning the deficiencies such as magnesium and iron are very important. Now these two inorganic substances or the ions, magnesium and iron, are required for the proper functioning of chlorophyll, meaning for the chlorophyll to absorb the light energy, get activated and then initiate the further processes, that is the photolysis. Okay, so if these that is especially the magnesium and iron, if it is deficient, then the chlorophyll itself is not going to get activated. So the initial step itself will not be taking place. Okay, so that is the internal factor. Protoplasm, if there is dehydration of protoplasm, that will reduce the rate of photosynthesis because there is no water available for the process. And also if there is accumulation of the glucose and starch is in the plant, that will further reduce the rate of photosynthesis because the glucose which is formed is not getting utilized. So there is no need for it to produce more amount. Yes, and structure of the leaf, that is the whether the cuticle is thick or thin or the distribution of stomata, Yes, all that also will affect the rate of photosynthesis. So all these are the internal factors. So just let us have a look at them. First, chlorophyll, nutritional deficiencies of minerals, especially which magnesium and iron, yes, cause a loss of chlorophyll and hence the drop in trapping the solar energy. Second is protoplasm. Dehydration of protoplasm will reduce the rate of photosynthesis, and also accumulation of carbohydrates, that is sugar and starch. Sugar in acid, the sucrose and starch will reduce the rate of photosynthesis. Okay. And third is the structure of the leaf, that is the thickness of the cuticle, the distribution of the stomata and the size of the leaf. All will influence the amount of light and the amount of carbon dioxide entering the leaf. So all these three are the internal factors affecting the rate of photosynthesis. Now we'll have a look at the next aspect, that is the experiments on photosynthesis. Now we'll have a look at the experiments on photosynthesis. Now before we conduct any experiment on photosynthesis, you have to ensure that the plant is destarched. Now what do you mean by destarched plant? Yes, a destarched plant is the one in which the leaves are free from starch. So whatever is the earlier formed starch, yes, present in the leaves, that should not be there in the leaves. So it should be transferred to the storage organs like the leaf stalk or the leaf stem. So how do you do that? So you have to destarch the plant. So you will do that by placing the leaf, or rather the plant, in a dark room for 24 to 48 hours. So that entire plant you are supposed to keep it in a dark room for 24 to 48 hours. That will ensure that the earlier formed starch will be removed from the leaves to the storage organs. Okay. So a destarched plant is the one whose leaves do not have any starch in them. Okay. Now this is a prerequisite for any experiment on photosynthesis. Now why it is a prerequisite? Because if there is already the earlier formed starch in the leaf, then you won't know that the starch which is there in the leaf is because of the factor which you are testing or the earlier formed starch. So unnecessary, you can get false positive results. I hope I am making myself clear. So that's why for carrying out any experiment on photosynthesis, the prerequisite or the requirement is that first step is the destarching of the plant. And how do you do that? You do that by placing the plant in a dark room for 24 to 48 hours. So during this time what will happen? The earlier formed starch is then transferred to all the storage organs. Okay, clear? Now once you have destarched, you should also understand the technique for testing the leaf for the presence of starch. So you do that by what is called as the iodine test. Okay. Now there are 4 steps in this. First is you are going to boil the leaf in water. Yes, this will kill the cells. Now after that you are going to boil it in methylated spirit. Yes, over a water bath. Now why over a water bath? Methylated spirit is an organic solvent. If you heat it directly, your entire lab is going to catch fire. Okay. So don't try stunts in the lab. So you are supposed to heat it over a water bath. Okay. Now once you heat it over a water bath, what will happen? The chlorophyll is going to dissolve and the leaf will become pale, white and brittle. And third step, you are going to remove that leaf and again put it in water so that the tissues get softened. And then finally, fourth step, you are going to pour iodine solution on it. Now once you pour iodine solution on it, if you get a blue-black coloration, means starch is present, and if you get a brown coloration, it means starch is absent. Okay, is it clear? This starch test is very, very important, iodine test, to test for the presence of starch. Some question on this is asked every year. Okay, so now let us have a look at what I have just explained, experiments on photosynthesis. So first is the destarching, that is removal of starch. So plant is destarched by placing it in the dark for 24 to 48 hours, and a destarched plant is the one whose leaves are free from starch. Okay, this is clear and you have understood why this is required. Now this iodine test, to test the leaf for starch. First point, dip the leaf in boiling water for a minute to kill the cells. Second, boil the leaf in methylated spirit over a water bath till it becomes pale white due to the removal of chlorophyll. Third, place it again in hot water to soften it. And fourth, spread the leaf in a dish and pour iodine solution on it. Presence of starch will be indicated by a blue-black color, and a leaf without starch will show a brown coloration. Okay, so this all 4 steps are very important. That's why I have written in form of a question here. Answer is this only, so you need not repeat it again. You can just copy it like this only. Enumerate the steps involved in testing a green leaf for the presence of starch and give 5 stars to it. Okay, important. So now we'll have a look at the actual experiments. That is the next aspect. Now the first experiment is, now just all these experiments are very important and they are asked in this manner. That's why I have written it in that manner, so that it's easier for you to understand. Now this particular diagram, if you see, this leaf is showing green and non-green areas. So the moment you see such a leaf with green and non-green areas, you should know that the aim of the experiment is that to show that whether chlorophyll is necessary for photosynthesis. Now such a leaf which is having these green and non-green areas is called as a variegated leaf. Yes, green and non-green means non-green can be yellow, red, etc. other than green. So it is called as a variegated leaf, and examples are Coleus, Geranium, Croton. Examples are also important. So now when you start the experiment, this has already been destarched. So that's why in the question, if you observe, following diagram refers to a particular physiological process. The leaf shown here has been destarched. So already it has been kept in dark and all that formality has been done, and then placed in sunlight. Then you have to answer the questions related to that. So what is the aim of the experiment is to show that chlorophyll is necessary for photosynthesis. Now what is such type of a leaf called? A leaf with green and non-green areas is called as a variegated leaf, and examples Coleus, Geranium and Croton. These are the 3 examples, any one you can remember. Now what will be your next step in this particular experiment? Next step will be to test the leaf for the presence of starch. And how you will do that? Using the iodine test, right? Now sometimes in this question they will also ask you what is your next step and give the details of that step. So details of the step means you have to explain in detail the iodine test, those 4 points which I just explained. Now here they have not asked, so you can just say to test the leaf for the presence of starch using iodine test. Okay, now once you carry out iodine test, what will be your observation? Now the green areas, yes, the green areas of the leaf are going to turn blue-black. Why? Because chlorophyll is present that can carry out photosynthesis. So green areas will turn blue-black, and these non-green or the white areas are going to show a brown coloration. Okay, so what is your observation, and you have to justify that observation. So these are generally the questions which are asked, and each of this experiment comes for 5 marks. Okay, so this particular what question I have written is common for the experiments which are going to follow. That's why I have written question 7a part. Okay, so what is the aim of the experiment? What is the leaf called? What will be your next step in the above experiment? To test the leaf for the presence of starch using iodine test, and what will be the result of the above step and justify. So in this what you will write, the green parts will show blue-black color while the non-green parts will show brown coloration. This is your observation, yes, and this is because the green parts contain chlorophyll and hence were able to carry out photosynthesis resulting in the production of starch, whereas the non-green parts did not contain chlorophyll, so no photosynthesis, so it will be brown in color. Okay, is it clear? Now we'll have a look at the next experiment, next aspect. Okay, now this is the next experiment. The moment you see a leaf with black paper, means the aim of this experiment will be to show that whether sunlight is necessary for photosynthesis. Okay, now what will be the role of the black paper? Black paper will prevent the entry of the sun's rays, so that portion which is covered by the black paper will not receive any sunlight. Okay, and again you are going to, next step will be you are going to test the leaf for presence of starch using the iodine test and the observations. Okay, so you have to remember and not get confused. If when you see green and non-green areas, the aim of the experiment is to show that chlorophyll is necessary for photosynthesis. When you see a black paper, aim of the experiment is to show that sunlight is necessary for photosynthesis. Then what is the role of the black paper? The black paper will prevent the sunlight from reaching the leaf. So all this portion which is covered by black paper, now this black paper is also having a cutout design. Yes, Cutout design, here I have shown a hexagon. You can use any design you like. You like a star, you put a star, circle, square, okay, anything. So next step will be to test the leaf for the presence of starch using iodine test. Now justify the result of the step conducted in 3 above. So result of this will be what? It will be observed that only the parts of the leaf which could get light through the cutout design as well as those that were left uncovered. That is, this is the cutout design and all this portion which is uncovered, right? So these parts are going to receive sunlight. So sunlight is being received, so naturally it is going to carry out photosynthesis. We assume that all other factors are there in the plant, right? So these portions are going to turn blue black, whereas this portion which is covered by the black paper did not receive sunlight, so naturally no photosynthesis, so no starch, so it will be brown coloration, right? So same thing is written here. It will be observed that only the parts of the leaf which could get light through the cutout design as well as those that were left uncovered by the black paper turn blue black, showing the presence of starch as photosynthesis could be carried out, and the parts covered by the black paper showed a brown coloration, indicating the absence of starch as no photosynthesis was carried out. Okay, clear? Again, this is 5 marks, 1, 1, 1 and 2. Okay, one of these experiments will be there in the test. Now we'll have a look at the next experiment. Okay, now this next experiment, a conical flask, just understand the setup first. This is a conical flask. Now in that potassium hydroxide is taken. Now one leaf is inside the flask and the other 2 leaves are outside the flask. Okay, now what is the role of potassium hydroxide? That you should understand. Now potassium hydroxide has a tendency to absorb carbon dioxide. It will absorb the carbon dioxide. So the air inside this conical flask will be devoid of CO2. Means carbon dioxide is absent in the flask. Okay. So aim of this experiment will be what? To show that carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis. Now what is the special condition? This A indicates a special condition inside the flask. So you will say that the air inside the flask does not contain carbon dioxide because KOH has absorbed all that. So air in the flask does not contain carbon dioxide as potassium hydroxide has absorbed all of it. Now apart from KOH, any other chemical you can use? Yes, you can use sodium hydroxide. Very good. Okay. Now in what manner, what will be observation? You will carry out naturally again the iodine test on this leaf as well as this leaf, right? So what will be the difference in leaf 1 and leaf 2? Now leaf 1 is inside where it did not receive carbon dioxide. So naturally the entire leaf will be brown in color, and leaf 2 is got all the factors required for photosynthesis, so it will be blue black. Okay, is it clear? So again this is an important experiment. We'll just have a look at the 4th question. In what manner do the leaves 1 and 2 differ at the end of the iodine test? So leaf 1 will show a brown coloration after the iodine test due to absence of starch. This leaf could not carry out photosynthesis due to lack of carbon dioxide in the flask. Okay, clear? And leaf 2 will show a blue black color after the iodine test due to presence of starch which was formed as a result of photosynthesis. Okay, clear? So these are the 3 important experiments on photosynthesis. Now apart from these questions, sometimes general questions like define the physiological process, give balanced equation for it, or what are the uses of that physiological process, such questions also can be put here. Okay, but we have already covered those questions, that's why I have not included them here in these. Now we'll have a look at the last experiment, that is the next aspect. Now this next experiment, to show that oxygen is given out during the process of photosynthesis. Okay, now this particular diagram, now generally they ask you to draw the diagram, that's why the question has been framed in that manner. Draw a neat label diagram of the experimental setup to show that green plants give out oxygen during photosynthesis. So the diagram can be drawn, can be asked, or the diagram can also be given and questions based on it also can be asked. Okay, so now just understand the setup first. We are taking a beaker which is filled with pond water. Yes, now in that you place an aquatic plant such as Hydrilla or Elodea. Now you are placing a short stemmed funnel inverted over that Hydrilla plant, and then take a test tube, fill it with water and invert it over the stem of the funnel. Okay, is it clear? And you have to ensure that this funnel does not touch the bottom. So there is a support here to prevent it from touching the bottom. Okay, now you are going to place this entire assembly in sunlight. So what will happen now? Naturally hydrilla will carry out photosynthesis and oxygen is released as a byproduct. So that oxygen, you can see these are the gas bubbles are seen, and ultimately if you test the gas which is collected here in this portion, when you bring a burning splinter near it, it will continue to burn. So that indicating that the gas is oxygen. Okay, so diagram is also important, and if the diagram is given and diagram based question is asked, so what could be the questions on this? What is the aim of the above experiment? So you will say that to show that oxygen is given out during photosynthesis. Then name the aquatic plant, give examples. So hydrilla or Elodea. What is your observation? How will you test the gas? Such questions can be asked. Okay, is it clear? So with that we complete the experiments on photosynthesis. Now only aspect what remains is the food chain and the carbon cycle. These are the two aspects which need to be touched upon, and of course the board questions. So in our next session we will be discussing the food chain and the carbon cycle and starting with the board questions. Okay, so go through all these notes properly, stay happy, healthy and study also of course. Okay, thank you.